Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. It is February 10th, 2025. I've got all of your news stories here in one place for your rush hour ride to work. On this episode, we'll be discussing last night's Super Bowl. Some called it boring. It was quite a game. They thought the halftime show was either amazing or the worst show ever, depending on who you asked. And Taylor Swift got booed. So we'll get into all of those aspects of the story. If you're Kansas City, it was a rough one. But hey, you won 2 in a row. What do you want? You know, the Eagles are your daddy. That's right. Philadelphia Eagles put on a whooping. It was quite a game for them. We'll cover that. Plus the Bachelorette canceled or just postponed. We'll get into the details we heard over the weekend. Again, as I mentioned, Taylor booed. Justice for Taylor Swift. And I've got a Bravo breakup. Paige DeSorbo. The breakup is spoken about on the Andy Cohen's show, Watch What Happens Live. So I'll discuss that. Plus, Megyn Kelly brings her culture war issues into the Justin Baldoni case. We'll be discussing what she said about dear old Justin Baldoni, and I'll have a couple words to say about her, so stick around for that. And made in Canada. That's right. If we've unified one thing in this country, it is the Canadians are now buying local and not buying American. I'm going to share what that means for us in the sort of senseless trade war that never was. All right, so it's a lot to get into. You're going to get all those stories and more coming up next on The Rush. Well, we thought it would be quite a busy week with regard to new claims coming from Blake Lively, and I didn't pull that out of my butt. Here, as was posted in my thumbnail, Wilkie Farr and Gallagher LLP partner said Lively and Reynolds may be filing an amended complaint of their own, a filing that could include new claims. Again, we don't have any information. We thought that would come on Friday of this past week, but we are waiting. We'll have to see if that breaks. We'll have more regarding Justin Baldoni later in the podcast. We're going to discuss his new podcast episode coming out today and what Megyn Kelly had to say. But hey, good news for you. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you had a fun night last night watching the Super Bowl. Maybe you're passing gas at work today. I mean, God knows we all ate too much cheese yesterday. I think I could speak for all of us and say we didn't eat that much cheese. Well, here we have Starbucks offering free coffee today. Have a listen to this.
Starbucks is offering free coffee on Monday, but you have to be a rewards member. The reward can be applied prior to placing an order and will work for 1 free tall hot or iced coffee. Now, if you are not already a member, you can get the deal if you sign up before 11:59 on Sunday night.
There it is. Did you sign up yet? And by the way, I'm not here pimping for Starbucks, but you get a free, when you're a member, you get a free drink on your birthday. Did you guys know that? I've literally got so many people free drinks on their birthday. And speaking of farts, when it's your birthday, you got to get the venti. You get the thing with all the creams and the syrups and everything. Your gastrointestinal issues will emerge. But hey, what better way to issue in a new year than with a free Starbucks coffee? So anyway, let me know. Tag me on Instagram if you guys go. I'd love to hear from you at D Neals. All right, so let's get into it. All right, last night was the Super Bowl. We all watched. It's the cultural moment. I said this like, oh, what's the issue going to be this time? You know the types of people I'm talking about that always have an opinion about every cultural topic. Oh, I didn't like the goddess of whatever from the Olympics opening ceremony. As if like, who cares if you didn't like the Olympics opening ceremony? And then of course last night with the Super Bowl, we're gonna have people complaining about Shakira's skirt being too tight or whatever. It's always something. And, it turns out people just didn't like the halftime show, which generally somebody always doesn't like the halftime show. My thoughts on Kendrick Lamar's halftime show, to be quite honest, I must have not been around when he became popular. I don't know too much of his music. I've been listening to a Spotify playlist called Club Hits If You're Over 40. I'm sorry, I'm old. So I didn't relate to every song. It wasn't like I was watching Snoop Dogg up there, but it doesn't mean I thought it was bad. Usually a lot of people are like, I don't get it. I saw someone comment, they literally were like, oh, why don't they just bring back Earth, Wind, and Fire? And it's like, well, somebody go get their grandma, please. Will somebody? The merciless Philadelphia Eagles dismantle the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. They beat them 40-22, but that doesn't tell the true story, right? 40-22. It was way worse than that. I mean, the Mahomes came back with a last minute, touchdown, but they were real late. There was no game. 7 years after winning their first Lombardi trophy, the Philadelphia Eagles are back on top of the NFL mountaintop. Behind an MVP performance from quarterback Jalen Hurts and a defensive masterclass that harried, hit, and harassed Patrick Mahomes into one of the worst games of his career, the Eagles roared to a 40-22 victory over the Chiefs on Sunday night in Nolans that wasn't as close as the scoreline suggests. Well, look, I'm not here to take a victory lap. I'm a New England Patriot fan, so my team stunk. But I got to say, as far as a Brady fan goes, Brady now has 7 titles. Mahomes still stuck at 3. They weren't able to get the three-peat. But, of course, the cultural conversations around the show were way more interesting than the actual game. That being Kendrick Lamar, the question was whether he was going to sing the song that I guess Drake is suing him over because he calls Drake the P word, and I can't even repeat it here. Anyway, here's a clip from the performance where he calls out, "I love to sue," when I call him quite possibly the worst thing you can call somebody without any evidence. Now, I'm not picking sides in the beef here. I'm just saying I thought it was pretty interesting, to toe that line in the rap beef wars that they have. All right, the real issue here is those that booed Taylor Swift. Now, fans were upset. I guess Taylor Swift fans were upset that she got booed. Let's just have a listen to it. She took it in stride. Here it is. So they're booing her, and she looks at the Jumbotron, and she then says to her friends, "Hey, so what's going on, everybody?" And which, by the way, I think that's a very fun thing for her to say. She's aware of her stardom. But look, Taylor Swift, you can't get too upset if Philadelphia Eagles fans boo you. They once threw snowballs at Santa Claus, okay? You just have to understand. There's something in the water in Philadelphia that makes them the way they are. I love Philly for that. I love all my friends. Congrats to, and again, as a New England Patriot fan, we're supposed to have beef with Philly. No, I mean, I love the city. I mean, is it the city of brotherly love? I mean, I don't know about that. But hey, it's, I think Jersey, Philly, there's just certain people from certain places that I just love, and Philly's one of them. There's something in the water. All right, so let's move it on. What did Jason Tartick think? He's got an opinion. He says it's the worst Super Bowl ever. Have a listen to this.
I think I might be witnessing the worst Super Bowl of all time. From the game, to the competition, to the halftime show. This might be the worst.
Yikes. All right. Didn't like the halftime show. Maybe it played better on TV. I'm sure I'll get comments from everyone out there voicing your opinions on it. But just remember, sometimes it's not for you. They are no earth, wind, and fire. You know what I mean? All right. The story everyone doesn't really care about, and that's why it's getting canceled, is The Bachelorette. Paused for summer 2025 ABC dating series to skip a cycle. So it's not that they're canceled. They're just on a break, to use dating terms. And by the way, is it because Grant's season is off to a terrible start? I don't think it's Grant's fault. It's just been a slow-moving death by 1,000 paper cuts, that being the Bachelor franchise. They're not giving out any roses this summer. ABC is pausing its female-led spinoff of The Bachelor, which will be a blow for fans of the long-running dating series. The show starts production shortly, and the last 3 seasons have aired in July. Look, maybe they should air it in the fall. I don't know. Isn't it weird having the Bachelorette on in the summer? Everyone's out barbecuing. No one's watching the show anyway. Take the summer off, have fun with Bachelor in Paradise, and bring it back. And, also, and no offense to Jen, but get a lead that can really bring some craziness. That's what the show is missing, is it's just not casting I don't know, the most dramatic people. Now, Jen was dramatic. I don't know. I'm just saying, find me a Caitlin Bristow out there. She was pretty iconic. All right. Again, nothing against Jen. She was not cast properly. I mean, as far as her contestants go, because they brought her in and they, it didn't have good men. All right. But anyhow, geez, I don't want all the haters to come after me. I got a crazy story for you coming up next. Christy Carlson Romano hospitalized after getting shot in the eye. Did you watch Special Forces this year? Christy Carlson Romano was on the show, and now she's sharing an injury she got during a shooting trip. This is crazy. Have a listen.
So I got shot in the eye. It was not fun. I am safe. I got shot here. It is still inside. There's a fragment there. There's a fragment here. We cleaned that out. I'm very grateful to first responders as a whole. I mean, they're just the most amazing superhero-like people to take care of us at our most desperate times. And so I'm grateful to St. David's South here in Austin. This is really bad tonight. Everything's kind of clearing out, but got to say I got shot in the face.
There it is, folks. Now, if you're listening to the audio only, I guess she was clay pigeon shooting and somebody accidentally shot their firearm off. So it's not like these are, I mean, like the bullet sizes are pretty small, or fragments or whatever it's called. But still, she's got metal lodged behind her eyes. This is frightening as hell. Put that on my list of things not to do. Clay pigeon shooting. I've got don't swim with sharks again, and don't go clay pigeon shooting again. All right, that's on my list. Now, there's no shortage of drama that comes out of the Bravo world here, and here we have Craig Conover shading Paige DeSorbo. Do you know this story? Are you guys caught up on it? You know me, I got to bring you all these stories. You know, you need to know about these things if you're out to lunch with the boss and she's a Bravo fan. You got to relate. Well, Paige DeSorbo, I guess, said that their breakup was mutual, and Craig Conover says, no, it wasn't. Ooh, here's what he had to say on Watch What Happens Live.
Paige lied on her podcast and said the breakup was mutual. I didn't tell her what to say. I got a text and she said, I'm announcing it on my podcast. And then she said it was mutual, which it wasn't. I didn't know about it. She called me and told me.
Paige said no one was blindsided.
Well, we were planning our future together.
Okay.
I had no way of, we never fought. I was moving to New York.
When Patricia was here last week, she claimed that she always thought Paige was mean to you. What was your reaction to that?
I don't think Paige was. I think we had an awesome relationship. I think you get to see a small amount and, you know, on TV, she plays it up. But in private, I mean, we were a very cute couple.
There they are, a cute couple. So I guess he's the Rachel Kirkconnell in the situation, if you know Bachelor and you can relate the two. I don't know. What do I know? There's so many relationships in the Bravo universe. I've said this before. If I ever need to go into an underground bunker for an extended period of time, just give me the Bravo channel. That's literally all I need is the Bravo. I mean, imagine if aliens could only access the Bravo channel. They'd be like, what's with these people? They all work on yachts and are real housewives. There's nothing in between. All right, well, today's a big day for Justin Baldoni. He's got a podcast coming out. I shared this clip over the weekend, but it's real quick. Let's have a listen. He's going to be on the Gents I guess it's called Gents Talk podcast. Have a listen.
Yeah. Intense year. This morning I sent a text message. I had anxiety.
Why is that?
I haven't talked about this yet, but
there it is. He says he has anxiety and it's something he hasn't talked about. It was filmed in November of 2024. So was he going to be talking about the sexual harassment stuff? Well, he hadn't been hit with any lawsuits yet, and he didn't file his lawsuits. At that time, he was being very quiet about it. So my guess is we're not going to get much tea from that podcast, but I'll listen to it 2 p.m. Eastern time and I'll let you guys know. Now, speaking of tea, we've got tea all day long when it comes to Megyn Kelly. Listen, I don't know if it's the lead poisoning from her generation, respectfully. I have no idea if it's that, or maybe there's some neurological issues going on with Ozempic. I really have no idea what's going on. I would love to talk to Meg just to be like, why does everything have to be culture war? Every single topic with Megyn Kelly can fall into a trans issue, a feminist issue, an Elon. You know, there's only like the crayon box is not full with many crayons when it comes to waging the war against the culture. So by the way, listen for yourself. Here's what she has to say about thinking Justin Baldoni is a wussy, I guess. Have a listen.
I defend Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit with Blake Lively because I think she's horrible and she's made up this whole thing because she tried to steal his movie. But he is the most overly feminized man I've had to endure in recent history.
And this is a problem. Overly feminized man. If you look at Justin Baldoni, especially in the movie, he's got 8 abs. He's toned to hell. He's a stud muffin. He looks gorgeous. And he seems like a guy's guy. I don't know what she expects masculinity to look like. Beer belly, 2 Bud Lights, smoking a cigarette, Marlboro, maybe chewing tobacco. Like where does she come from? And then you remember, well, she came from Fox News with Roger Ailes when there was all just like be a hot blonde in a tight dress, show your legs, and then, talent comes second. I'm not saying she's not talented. I've always really enjoyed the lawyer within Megyn Kelly, but the culture war, like clickbaity, are we really talking about Justin Baldoni as a weak guy? Have a listen to this.
Everything he says is self-flagellating over the fact that he's a man, but he's, to me, is sort of the embodiment of what happens when you totally emasculate a man. And then she continued, she took that stiletto and stuck it in his heart when he was down there self-flagellating, being so sorry for anything having to do with his testosterone.
A lot of projection happening here. When was Justin apologizing for having testosterone? He has a podcast that talks about being a healthy version of a man. There's a lot of issues that come with manhood as you grow up. A lot of us were raised, some of us without fathers, some of us with bad role models. And there's, again, a spectrum of femininity, masculinity, toxic femininity, toxic masculinity, and it's a whole broad spectrum. You can have masculine traits and feminine traits as a man or a woman. Megyn Kelly might have very masculine traits when it comes to how she goes after people because that's a masculine, or I might have a very feminine trait when it comes to talking about Dancing with the Stars. I don't know. It doesn't make you any less of a man or a woman. It's so dumb and wild to think that she thinks Justin Baldoni is any less than a man. And what's interesting here is she thinks that he was kind of asking for it because he was self-flagellating. Where is he self-flagellating? There's a lot of ladies that might flagellate themselves once they look at Justin Baldoni. I just watched the show. I'm telling you, he's a good-looking guy. But I'm all joking aside. I don't get what I would love to ask her these questions because I think what she's doing is she's projecting him into what she thinks is a beta, weak version of men. Let me tell you something. If Justin Baldoni's a beta, then I don't know what an alpha looks like because the dudes, okay, you get the point.
And so that's what happens to you, right? You run into somebody who seems like a witch who will take advantage of you and hurt you until finally even that kind of a guy rises up. Now, he didn't do it himself exactly. He hired a badass named Brian Friedman, and he has badass women like me defending him. Mm-hmm. But slowly but surely, I think the male class is learning down on the floor, squirming and apologizing for being a man is not the way.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection. Okay, what is she like? This is the problem, right? She'll take a unique situation, Justin Baldoni's, and she'll apply it to the whole world of of whatever culture issue she has here. I just think it's like she's so much smarter than this, and yet at the same time is so dumb. She thanks herself for being a strong woman for defending him while she's tearing him down. Are you kidding me? Within like a week of her calling him out publicly, Blake Lively, within a week, he had filed a $400 million lawsuit against her. That's not a weak individual. Do you understand? Don't misinterpret his kindness, his grace, his lack of an ego for being any less than a man. It's almost like Megyn Kelly doesn't think a guy's a man unless he punches his fist through the wall when his Kansas City Chiefs team loses. We grew up with that, Dad. We don't want it. There's a healthy way you can be a man. You can curb a lot of the sort of testosterone fueled things she wants him to what is she I don't know. I'm speechless. What does she want him to be? And again, I've had friends of mine say, "Oh, stupid man bun." I just got a haircut, but I had a man bun. Does it make any less of a man to have a man bun? Are you kidding me? In any other mammalian culture, the guy with the longest hair would be in the center of the tribe, right? Looking at you, Lion King, with your nice long mane. But here, we've almost trained men to be subservient. Cut the hair, look trim, look proper, go to work, wear this tie, put a suit on. And that was a form of control. So maybe Justin Baldoni's just fuck it. I'm going to grow my hair out. And in fact, what do we find out? He grew it out for Locks for Love so we can donate it to kids with cancer. So I don't know. I reject wholeheartedly her culture war bait she wants us to take. I have not seen an ounce of anything less by Justin Baldoni than pure manhood, sticking up for his family, doing what's right, not apologizing when Blake tried to coerce him into multiple apologies. He did everything he could for the situation to play out the way it did, and he's been on the right side of the story ever since. I don't know how he could have played the game any differently other than not casting Blake Lively in the first place. I truly don't. Let's take a quick break. We're going to be back with some more news right after this. Well, Anonymous has announced a war on Trump. Now, who is Anonymous? A decentralized virtual community commonly referred to as an internet-based collective of hacktivists. Their goals are decentralized, and they are to seek mass awareness and revolution against what the group perceives as corrupt entities. Here's what they had to say regarding Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Have a listen to this.
Trump is now being targeted by the cyber attackers Anonymous. They've declared, quote, total war on the billionaire and now claim to have hacked him and released some of his private information.
Thank you.
Now is the time to unite to fight fascism, to show that we are very serious about stopping any proposed fourth right by the fascist Donald Trump. We have attached a gift, of sorts, Trump's social security number, cell phone number and other details that might be able to assist you all in independently investigating this would-be dictator.
All right, so I guess they shared his social security and his cell phone number. I mean, if they're going to hack his cell phone, they're just going to see like nude photos that he and Lindsey Graham send back and forth. You know what I mean? Like, what are they going to find? I don't know. But either way, good to see that they're on the game. And again, there they are. Also a message to Elon Musk. Again, I don't know, if they're taking this seriously or not, but it could just lead to more content to discuss. That's for sure. Well, the Canadians have responded to these tariffs that Trump tried to put on them. As you guys know, Donald Trump started essentially a trade war saying we're going to tariff them. And they said, well, we're going to tariff you. Remember they took liquor off the shelves? Well, it actually spurred this movement in Canada to buy Canadian. And here's what they're saying based on the shelving systems at a Canadian grocery store.
I'm at one of Canada's grocery stores, and Americans lean in a little. You see these? These are new. They're everywhere now. Oh, and by the way, you notice something else about them? Do you see something else about them? Maybe I'll back up.
They're made in Canada stickers.
Back up. All the Canadian products are at eye level now. That didn't used to be. You want to know where the American products are? They're down here at the bottom. You want to know why they're at the bottom? Because they're not selling. You know why they're not selling? Because we're not buying them. We may be proud. We may be polite. We are not pushovers. I'm at one of Canada's 23,000 grocery stores. This is happening everywhere.
I bet you Megyn Kelly would call this guy a beta cock or whatever they call him, right? But here's somebody, vote with your dollar, and they've decided they're going to buy local, they're going to buy Canadian. I think regardless of what country you're in, it's good to support your own country. You keep the money within the country, you support your local whatever. But this is just the collateral damage that was done with essentially no trade-off. Again, Justin Trudeau said, well, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, but it's stuff they already agreed to several months ago. So again, it was a real big whole much ado about nothing, but we're seeing, like I said, the collateral damage here. All right, well, let's end on a good story, right? Why don't we do that? Or I should say an emotional story. It's not actually good, but it's a fallout from last night's Super Bowl. They had the terror attack that happened in New Orleans on New Year's Day. And here we have Jason Kelce reporting at the the pre-Super Bowl countdown. And he was actually able to meet one of the guys that died in the terrorist attack. Obviously, it was a guy who played college football, I believe. And here they are paying tribute to those lives that were lost.
Emotional story, Jason. You've met Ryan.
Yeah, man.
So this is Jason Kelce here, not able to kind of contain himself. He's just crying, which again, by the way, Megyn Kelly would say that this is the sort of wussiness of male culture. I see this as a strong man who's able to share his emotions and wear them on his sleeve. I think there's nothing more manly than what we're seeing right here. That's the world I want to live in. Maybe Megyn Kelly thinks I'm not a man.
Take a moment. It hits everybody, obviously, and the impact that sports has on people in so many different ways is felt at times like this, and it is wonderful that he will be here. I can tell you that the Besh family and others who were impacted by this tragedy will be honored here on this field tonight, and Ryan will be here as well. If there's any thought.
I mean, listen, there's some awful people in this world. And I had the fortune of meeting Ryan, and his spirit right there. You wouldn't even know something happened if he wasn't in a wheelchair before the Rams game. And I'm so, there's on one end something terrible can happen, then the other end something so beautiful can happen. And I'm just happy that he's going to be here on behalf of Eagles fans everywhere. Hell yeah, Ryan.
Look, I agree. Like, I hate that we have to have, that there's so much politically charged anger out there, because the terrorist attacks, in part, I think, were due to a guy who's, felt like he was on the fritz, right? So much of the hopeless and the despair comes from people not feeling like they're in a society where they can flourish, and that's a sad result of the world we live in, and it's been like this for a while now. So, I can feel, but then you see someone like Jason Kelce and you see Travis Kelce, these brothers, they're going to be around for a long time post football careers. And it's just like, those are just the conversations I like to see. So I like to share them with you guys. Nothing really deep to start the Monday off with, other than, seeing the resolve of people that, again, so I made a mistake there, because it wasn't, the guy he was talking about didn't die in the terrorist attacks, but he was injured. And to see people rise up just a few weeks later and be celebrated at the pre-show ceremony, it's first of all super brave, and it's also just shows the resolve that we have in our country. I think one of the issues that I find myself coming back to a lot here as we cover the news is people like Megyn Kelly. I want to say I mean this with all due respect, but in fact, it's kind of a lack of respect, really. People like her, they want to see all of these cultural moments and divide us. It's hell of a good content for them on their YouTubes. You see this a lot with Piers Morgan too, right? You just see them wanting to divide on all these like tight issues. The trans debate, the this, the that. Whereas 90% of our country wants the same thing. And we need to breathe life into what that is. Economic prosperity, treating each other equally and with love. I think that's what most people want. And yet on the frameworks, on the edges is where they pull us. And I don't think that's where we need to live. And certainly with my podcast, I don't want to live there. So I'm all on board with Jason Kelce. Let's keep spreading love. We're going to have some good content your way today, as we have more to discuss in the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively world. So stick around for that. And then we'll be back this afternoon, as we are every day, for another episode of The Rush. I'm Dave Neal. Have a good morning, everybody.